As protests escalate over the citizenship law and the NRC drive, the centre has now cleared the National Population Register. The government has maintained that the survey will be taking place next year from April to September, and only a self-declaration, no document or biometric proof will be required. The opposition continues to fume, with Chief Ministers Mamata Banerjee and Pinarayi Vijayan refusing to allow NPR. In fact, they have suspended all NPR activities in their states, calling it the government's backdoor to the NRC. After Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the modalities of Pan-India NRC drive have not been finalized and even discussed or talked about, Home Minister Amit Shah reiterated their stand that there have been no talks on how to push the national NRC drive, either in cabinet or in parliament. But this stand comes weeks after the Home Minister was adamant there will be an NRC push across India as he pushed the citizenship law. In fact, in 2014, MOS Home Kiren Rijiju, on at least 3 different occasions in Parliament, said that NPR is the precursor to the national NRC drive, calling it the logical conclusion. Now, if the Home Minister and the Prime Minister have said that no clear outline has been set, shouldn't this have come sooner to allay the fears of the protesters? With property damage and loss of lives, is this message, in fact, coming too late to the protesters who have called the CAA and NRC drive a threat to the citizenship of the poorest of the poor? Will the government's new stand now placate and finally end the protests? Let me bring in my guests now. Sanjay Jha is the spokesperson of the Congress Party. Shagata Roy is a TMC MP. Suhas Chakma is the Director of Rights and Risk Analysis Group. Neeti Jain is the BJP spokesperson. Neeti Jain, there is enough and more confusion that is there. Why did the government and the cabinet approve the NPR today?
You know, Marya, like the Home Minister has already said in an interview that this was a process that was started by the UPA government 10 years ago, and this is supposed to be repeated every 10 years. So it is just for that reason, so that we're on the same timeline as was implemented then, that we can finish this process within 10 years, is that it has been started today. And there is no reason to again fearmonger on the entire issue, because there's no link to everything that is being linked to. It was a process that started under UPA. We have simply carried it forward.
I have enough and
everything
more
that
answers
the UPA
that
does,
were given by
that when they do it,
the Home Ministry from 2014 to 2015. This is 15/7/2014. Kiren Rijiju was asked, and his response was, the Ministry of Home Affairs, government has decided to create NRIC, that is the National Register of Indian Citizens, by verifying citizenship status of all persons in the NPR. So clearly it is linked. There is that doesn't stop there. There's more. 28th July 2015, Haribhai Pratabhai Chaudhary, he's the Minister of State in the Home Ministry. He was then. He says it has been decided the National Population Register should be completed and taken to its logical conclusion, which is the creation of NRIC. Tell me, how is this different from what you're telling me today?
Okay, so everything that you're quoting, this NRIC mention was there when the UPA came out with the NPR register. And we can see Chidambaramji's video that where he's boasting about the entire process that they're coming out with, and Pratibha Patilji saying how necessary and important it is to be implemented. So all of those things at that time were mentioned there. But like Amit Shah ji has mentioned today, that NRC requires documental proof, and that is something that has not been talked about. And we have been saying that ever since the discussion on CAA started, that CAA and NRC are not linked. And we're saying it today, starting today, that NPR and NRC are also not linked. We're not asking for any documents from people under the NPR.
Then why is Shagata Roy
so all of these are very different processes.
Shagata Roy, here is the government which says that it is not linked. Why are you trying to link it? And you have suspended the NPR activities also.
we are opposing the NPR because we think it's a precursor to the NRC. As has been earlier mentioned in replies from the NDA government in Parliament. Our point is very simple, that if the government gives a final official declaration that there will be no NRC in the country, the states may consider starting work on NPR, the National Population Register. Till that is clarified, there is no question of starting work on National Population Register. Also, the general demand has been scrapped NRC, scrap CAB, the Citizenship Amendment Bill. The government must also come out clear on the Citizenship Amendment Bill, or which has become an act today, whether it's prepared to withdraw the Citizenship Amendment Bill. The central government cannot expect cooperation from the government of West Bengal till these 2 points are cleared. This agitation against this NRC and CAB has already cost 20 lives in the country, led to substantial destruction of property, and hundreds of people in jail and in hospitals all over the country. After all this, the government decides to push in NRC through the back door. Naturally, it will be resisted by all those people who have opposed the NRC and the CAB.
So
that is what has happened in the case of West Bengal. The government has clearly said that we shall not start work on the NPR.
Okay. So as Chakma, why are you not ready to believe what the government is saying now, that NRC and NPR are not linked, and why are you of the opinion, as what the TMC is saying, that this is some kind of backdoor entry of NRC?
I think the government faces serious credibility crisis, and it's their own making, because after the Prime Minister spoke on the issue, you had the BJP Vice President Shivraj Singh Chauhan saying that there will be nationwide NRC. So there is a clear confusion within the BJP as to what is the position of the party as well as position of the government. And I think we have to bear in mind that when the UPA government had done the NPR in 2010, please remember, at that point of time, an illegal immigrant was defined irrespective of his religion. And today you have changed the entire dynamic with the passing of the Citizenship Amendment Act, because
No,
you have,
sir. I think it is you who are confused.
So unless
the illegal immigrant remains illegal irrespective of religion. And that is what we are trying to say. The confusion is in your mind, not ours. An illegal immigrant, no matter what religion is they show their dog. If they can't prove their citizenship, they move out.
You have not in that case read the CAA, which removes the definition of illegal immigrants from Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, etc., who have come by 31st December 2014.
Okay,
and this is an amendment of the 2003 Act, which had for the first time defined illegal immigrants. So what I'm basically trying to say is that there is a credibility crisis, and the government needs to come forward beyond what has been stated. It has to be reflected in the notification when the notification for the NPR comes up.
Okay, Neeti, this specific point, that the government was speaking in multiple voices. The working president of the party did talk about NRC. The fact is that the Home Minister did talk about NRC on the floor of the House. It was only after the Prime Minister said so on Sunday that we are seeing the statements being made. My limited point is, will you accept that there is some kind of major communication gap now? That you failed to communicate, and that is the reason why, whatever you may say, misinformation or whatever, there is this cloud of suspicion now.
No, Marya, ever since there have been debates about the CAA, including myself, we've all been saying that NRC details, procedure, it has not been discussed by the government, it has not been given out by the government. And we have been saying this ever since. Everybody has been saying that CAA and NRC are not linked. There is no plan for the NRC to be implemented as of now. when it would happen, whenever it
As
would
of
happen,
now-
it cannot be a backdoor entry, Mr. Roy. It is not, as a country, you do not operate
bogus.
with backdoor entries with procedures like these. Whenever it happens, it will happen. And secondly, you said we should not expect any cooperation from the West Bengal
do.
government. Sir, I think the
When-
entire country
when BJP
understood
is
that
in
when
power,
you came
you
out
do.
and said that the Prime Minister
Nidhi,
is
that
not
is a
my Prime
deeply
Minister.
problematic argument that you're giving. For you to say that NRC will happen, the Home Minister has said that there is no talk on NRC at all. The Prime
I'm
Minister
saying
has
there
said
have
the
been
same.
no discussions, there have been no details, there has
Home
been
Minister
nothing
must
about
be lying.
NRC that
Please
has come out
listen-
from the
please
government.
listen to me.
The NRC procedure as was listed.
Then
and
why would you bring
if it
the
was in the
NPR
manifesto,
process
it took us.
when the census is already happening? My question is that what is the use of an NPR when it has the similar purpose as the census? What is the difference between the two?
So the census is essentially a statistical kind of a data which is made public for use entirely in the nation and for the international levels also. So it has certain statistical processes that are linked there. For NPR, it is a data for the country which is not made public, and the policies are based on the kind of data that we get from the entire country.
Okay, Shaukat Ullah,
And the two processes happened in 2009 as well.
Yes,
in
yes, I'm
2009,
going to ask that
2010.
specific question, that
So
specific
both of these processes
Shaukat Ullah,
happened. There was no hue
Shaukat
and
Ullah,
cry then.
Shaukat Ullah, the fact is that the government of West Bengal has also
Just a
used the data that was provided through the NPR. The household data was used by the state governments of Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Odisha, Manipur for the Sarvam scheme and the PDS scheme, and Rajasthan for Bhamasha. So the question is that this has been used for the socio-economic benefits as well.
That was in the past. Now, a new situation has arisen where the Prime Minister and the Home Minister are talking at cross purposes. The Home Minister said in Lok Sabha on 10th of December, I heard it with my own ears, it's recorded, that there will be NRC throughout the country. He said it not once but twice during the reply on the Citizenship Amendment Bill. And the Prime Minister on 22nd of December says in Ramlila Maidan, there was never any talk of NRC. It was not discussed in cabinet. So who is telling the untruth? The Home Minister or the Prime Minister? When this point is not clear,
Sir,
I have
both of
nothing,
them are saying
we
the same
had nothing
thing.
against the NPR. Earlier when the NPR was made, the West Bengal, please listen to me. Earlier when the NPR was made, West Bengal government did not object to it. But now, when doubts and suspicions have arisen about the basic intention of the government, when the two top functionaries of the government are talking at cross purposes, West Bengal cannot be a party to forming the NPR.
Okay.
The other point I want to clear, if we will not have time later, that in the Citizenship Amendment Act, in paragraph 2, section 2, they said that provided that any person belonging to Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi or Christian from Afghanistan, Bangladesh or Pakistan who entered India on or before 31st day of December 2014 shall not be treated as illegal migrant for the purpose of this act. So illegal migrant, so if a Muslim comes, he will be treated as an illegal migrant. So this is quite clearly discriminatory, anti-constitutional.
Okay.
What Ms. Jain is saying, that the illegal migrant definition has not changed. Here it has clearly changed in clause 2 of the Citizenship Amendment
Okay,
Act.
sir. Okay, sir.
So
Let me.
this government is talking at cross purposes, working at cross purposes, saying untruths which is intolerable.
Okay, okay, Sanjay Jha, before I bring in Neeti and make her respond to all these questions, Sanjay Jha, what is really the confusion within the Congress party? Because the Congress president hasn't made her stand clear on NRC so far. Although most non-BJP ruled states are of the opinion that they will not be allowing NRC, but no formal announcement has come from the Congress president. Is there some confusion within the party on the stand on NRC?
Firstly, Marya, I'm not mandated by my party to participate in the debate, so I can only take your questions one-on-one. Let me answer you very briefly. Number one, the Congress party's stance is absolutely crystal clear. That the Citizenship Amendment Act is unconstitutional, is illegal, and we are very confident that the Supreme Court will junk it. Number two, very critical here, that there has been a lot of disingenuous propaganda being done by the BJP, including a spokesperson on your channel. Now, the NPR during the time of the UPA never asked anyone to submit their parents' date and place of birth, which is, by the way, the defining criteria for citizenship, because as per the amendment that was brought in, it was important that at least one of your parents was a legal immigrant, even if the other one wasn't. That is where the NRC linkage is absolutely explicit. So this NPR is different from the NPR during the time of the UPA. Number two, the UPA never talked of the NRC for a pan-India basis. NRC was only mandated to be implemented in Assam because of its historical issues with the Assam Accord, and that was to be done under the Supreme Court direction.
Are you creating some kind of doubt on NPR? Because the government says that NRC has not been envisioned or initiated, and that no list of doubtful people will be prepared under NPR, and no biometric or no documents will be collected. That is what the government stand is, and that in the past as well, it has happened. It has happened in 2010 as well, which was your government, the second part of the UPA.
Marya, listen, let's kind of close this issue once and for all. There's no need to speculate on it. When in the sacrosanct August halls of Parliament, when the Minister of State for Home tells you that the NRC is going to be a logical follow-up to the NPR, what is the ambiguity here? There is no ambiguity whatsoever. You have the Home Minister of the country, you have the President of India, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who actually only reads out the text of a speech which is given to him by the Union Cabinet. When he talks about the NRC on an all-India basis, what are we talking about? I mean, the Home Minister, Amit Shah, is the number 2 man in the Indian government after the Prime Minister. Incidentally, very important to note, the Prime Minister never said no to the NRC. The Prime Minister did what I call as gaslighting, a very, Kafkaesque, taking the country on a dark path. He says
Neeti
nothing.
has lots to respond now.
If you can't convince them, confuse them. That's exactly what Narendra Modi did.
You have
and
to...
I'm telling you,
yes,
Indians have a right to feel
but are you also not confused about your
Marya,
issue?
just give me 15 seconds because I can't be in the debate for too long.
Sure.
You see the risk on this entire, effort by the BJP here. You know what can happen? A legitimate citizen of a country, a legitimate person who's lived here since independence, for all you know, may not have the documents and may have to be actually put in a detention center.
Okay, Sanjay Jha.
While somebody who is an immigrant may be
Sir, you're again,
citizen of the country.
You're again fear-mongering.
Because according to the government, that's crucial.
Neeti Jain, let her respond, because there are too many points that have been made by both Saugata Roy and Sanjay Jha. Go ahead, Neeti.
Right. So this is exactly what the Congress has been doing. They have been fear-mongering on what they think could happen about the NRC. I think Mr. Jha does not know that in 2009, the Congress government sanctioned 489 crore for the NRC process across the country on the basis of the Assam Accord. Your spokesperson came out and said that NRC is our baby, and the Modi government has only sent out 1,822 foreigners when we sent out 82,728 foreigners from across the country.
Nationwide
Sir, 489 crore was sanctioned for a nationwide NRC by the UPA government. And which is what my point is. When Congress, and including Mr. Roy, when Congress does it, when UPA does it, there is no problem. Everybody is on board with whatever has been. No, I'm not, sir. I will send you the link. I will send the link to Marya.
Tell me, where did the Congress party say NRC will be all India?
2018.
1 minute.
In 2018, Surjewala ji has done a
NRC was never mentioned.
No, just answer my question.
NRC was never mentioned.
People who are watching the program. Tell me,
Sir,
where has the
I will
Congress party
send you
said the
that
NRC
link.
will be
It
all
was
India?
a
Tell me.
press conference.
No, tell me. Give me a quote.
It was a press conference
don't indulge
done
in fake
in
news.
2018.
Don't do post-truth and fake
Sir,
news.
I'm telling you, if you're not listening, that's not
What do you
my
mean you are
fault.
telling me? What do you
This
mean you are
was a
telling me?
press
Tell me what is your
conference
basis?
by Surjewala
Where is
ji
your
in
document?
2018.
Where is your document? You
Sir,
tell me that.
I'm not.
Don't indulge in fake news here.
Sir, I will send you the
No
link.
post-truth and fake news.
Sir, I am not indulging in fake news. You are indulging in fake news
Okay.
by propagating
No, Amit
what
Shah
you
and Narendra
think
Modi
could
are boss.
happen, which
They are
is
the
what the
past
Prime
masters in
Minister
this
has
game.
said, that none
Modi
of
ji
this
and
has
Amit Shah
been
are past
discussed and
masters
you
in fake
cannot
news.
focus, and you cannot push an entire
Just tell me
country
who's
into
speaking the lie
riots based
between
on
Amit
what
Shah
you
and Narendra
think
Modi.
could happen.
Tell me who lies, who lied. Narendra
Sir,
Modi
you
lied
are
or Amit Shah
lying.
lied? Can you tell me
Neither
that?
Modi ji
One of
has
them is
lied,
lying.
nor Amit Shah ji has lied. They have made the same statement which
There is no
says
detention
that none
center
of
in this
this has
country.
been discussed in the
Excuse me, madam, there is no
cabinet, which
detention
is
center
what
in
we
this
are
country.
also saying. You
Is there no
are
detention center
spreading,
in
you
this
are
country?
fear
Say yes or
mongering on
no.
this entire point by saying
Marya, I
that
can't-
you,
I
what
can't
you
debate, so I
think
need to
could
leave it.
happen, and
Okay. What
Thanks,
we'll do?
Marya.
Yes,
so
please go ahead,
that's
Sanjay.
shoot and scoot.
No, it's
You
not
will
really
speak what you have to, but you will not listen to the
Sanjay,
answers.
listen to what she is saying. Okay, so you have made your point. Niti, just respond to specifically what Shakil Roy is saying. The reason why he is doubting is because he thinks NPR and NRC is linked, and that has been a statement that has been made by the Minister of State for Home Affairs in 2014, and he has repeated it on multiple occasions in the last few years.
See, in 2014, and with all due respect, Mr. Roy, I understand that you have on the basis of what you think could happen, and that is not for me to correct. I mean, you have a right to your opinion. But the point is that all of this process has happened now. CAA has come out this year. In 2014,
Thank you.
this process was already happening. This process was already happening, and it was already there. So if you're talking about NRIC, if you're talking about NPR, all of this was started under the UPA government, and not much has changed on that front. So we are simply continuing because it was a good exercise to do.
Okay.
There are a lot of policies
No,
that
no.
depend, and every country deserves to know who lives in this country
Okay. No,
and who are
You
we
are-
making a
you are
policy
wrong.
for.
Shakil Roy.
No. You are factually wrong. NRC was never before talked in the country. NRC only came after the Supreme Court judgment on Assam Accord, when the Supreme Court asked the government to form NRC and set up a mechanism. One. Two, the point on which Ms. Jain is misinformed is that CAB has not come just now. Citizenship Amendment Bill came to Parliament in 2016. Then this bill was debated in Lok Sabha. Then it was sent to a select committee, of which I was a member. The select committee gave a report in
Right.
2018, and ultimately the bill could not pass Rajya Sabha. So it has been there on discussion since 2016, but
Okay.
people had not realized the gravity of the situation which should be created by the...
But sir,
and so
what you're
factually
quoting
Ms.
is
Jain is wrong.
2014.
One, NRC only
So what you're quoting is
came
2014, and which
after
is what I
Supreme Court
meant, that in
judgment on Assam.
2014 there were no talks about the CAA in its present form.
Okay, what we'll do is I'll give the final
And
words
again,
to
let me
the
reiterate,
expert
in 2009,
on the panel, Suhas.
No, CAA came in 2016.
Suhas, you have 30 seconds.
Situation has dramatically changed from 2014 because of the enactment of the Citizenship Amendment Act. Because you have changed the character of who is a foreigner, who is the illegal immigrant. So you cannot say that this is the same process of NPR which was done by the UPA. It's fundamentally different because you have protected certain kind of people, and that's where the fear is. And if you're really serious about cooperative federalism and assuaging the sentiments of fear, what's the harm stating all the facts which have been stated by the Home Minister and Prime Minister to put in the gadget?
All
Mr.
right.
Roy would support you for that.
All right, Sanjay Jha, Shagatam Mukhopadhyay, Shakil Roy, Suhas Chakma and Niti Jain, thank you so much for joining us. So certainly, after the statement that has been made by Home Minister, the question is, will the protests come to an end? Shouldn't this statement that has come today, that NPR and NRC are not linked, shouldn't that have been made earlier? Why did this confusion continue? And what efforts were made by the government to really allay those fears? That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.